Subscribe to VidsTube for latest tech-related videos. The year 2021 made folding smartphones a reality. The futuristic tech of folding a screen in half without breaking it, or let alone unfolding two screens to increase the screen real estate, is now getting more affordable. I have been using few folding smartphones since past few years, and this video is all about my take on this new foldable technology. I think there are two categories. Let's start with category 1, the folding dual screen smartphone. This category jump-started with the first dual screen phone Kyocera Echo, which had the second display under the first display. This got me so pumped about dual screen smartphones that I got the ZTE Axon M, which is also a dual screen smartphone with 20 megapixel camera, expandable storage, fingerprint sensor, headphone jack, and more importantly, it unfolds to a massive 5.2-inch tablet-like display. I still have this phone to this date, and I did a full video on it. It's linked at the end in case if you want to check it out. This phone has 4GB of RAM, 64GB of storage, and it still works great, with the only caveat being that it runs on an older Android 7.1 and has the dated Snapdragon 821 processor. I can still play games on this device, which is pretty cool. I can do basic tasks like web browsing, listening to music, watching videos, etc. However, any graphical or processor intensive task will make this phone burn out, as this phone was announced in October of 2017, so in terms of tech it's pretty dated. But I have seen this phone go on Amazon and eBay for only $200. Well, in my case, I am planning to use this as a tablet for my kids. Now, this device has Gorilla Glass 5 protecting both the displays, but both these displays are in a compromised position, especially when you place this phone facing down, and no case would protect the display, and hence you would have to have a screen protector. And another drawback of this device is that humongous center bezel, which is a deal breaker for full screen media consumption. I really like the concept of this type of folding phones, as one of the display is readily available to use. So you can use this phone as a regular smartphone but unfold it to be a tablet when needed. However, in that case, I would really want this phone to be very thin, lightweight, and the glass made of a sapphire or really strong material to protect it from scratch, smudges, scuffs, and fall. And more importantly, reduce the center bezel to almost none, in a way that there is literally no gap between the screens when unfolded. Another company that implemented this type of dual screen design is LG, with the introduction of V50 Thin Q 5G smartphone, which is a phone that is still recommendable if you want a budget dual screen smartphone, as it has 6GB of RAM, 128GB of storage with a Snapdragon 885 processor, and Android 9 that is upgradable to Android 11. You can get a pre-owned V50 or V60 Thin Q for under $500. You can check out the links in the video description. Two caveats with this type of folding phone is that you have to unfold to access the phone's main display, and again there is a humongous bezel. Now, to mitigate that, you can just take off the case and use this phone as a normal smartphone, but still there is that center bezel, which is a caveat. LG also tried an unconventional way of unfolding a smartphone, and that is with the LG Wing, where the main screen opens in a landscape mode for media consumption, and you still have another small screen under it where you can do your texting or other multitasking stuff. This phone is still available on Amazon as a renewed phone for only $690, and it has all the modern day smartphone specs like 8GB of RAM, 128GB of storage, Snapdragon 765G, that is a 7nm processor with Android 10. Then came Microsoft with the Microsoft Duo 1, and I got one for myself for about 1100 Canadian dollar. This also has all the modern day smartphone spec like the Snapdragon 855 with Android 10, 6GB of RAM, and 128GB of storage. I got this phone because of the distinctive feature, that is the huge 8.1-inch unfolded AMOLED tablet-like display. I do admire this 8.1-inch AMOLED display, but when you fold it up, It really does not feel like a smartphone. It falls under the phablet category. My major gripe with this phone is that you have to unfold it all the time to use the phone. Now if you keep it in unfolded position, it still is not a functional screen size, as I'm used to the vertical form factor because of one-handed use. Microsoft also has unresolved software problems with this phone, like the camera screen not switching properly, the menu gestures not working, and others. The camera of this smartphone is worst and does not stand up to the current standards. And this dual screen, when unfolded, there is still a substantial chunky center bezel which will impede your viewing experience. But this is certainly better than the ZTE Axon M's center bezel. So I wouldn't recommend this phone unless what you really need is that 8.1-inch unfolded tablet-like screen with poor camera. Microsoft recently announced Duo 2 that I did not upgrade, as it's primarily still the same with a much better triple camera system. The 8.3-inch Pixel Sense display with curved edges, but still there is that center bezel impeding your view. This time around, Duo 2 has notification panel at the edge of both the curved display to view the notification at glance. However, I wouldn't recommend this phone because of the hefty price tag of 2500 Canadian dollar. In this price range, you can literally get all the previously shown smartphone on this video and still have money left over. So that is it with this dual screen foldable smartphone category. Next up is the folding screen smartphones. This category started with the first folding screen smartphone, the Royal Flex Pi, that has all the contemporary specs with the triple camera setup, but the big problem was that the folding display was exposed outside to all the dust, debris, scratches and scuffs, and most of these folding displays are not made of glass and hence are very vulnerable. Huawei's first folding smartphone, Mate X, had the same problem of the most delicate part of the phone being exposed outside. Huawei did address this issue with the latest Mate X2 that folds inside, and hence the vulnerable folding display is protected with the clamshell. It was actually Samsung who came up with the Fold 1 that has the inner folding display in the clamshell casing, which would make it just like the Microsoft Duo or the Duo 2, but without that center bezel to have a seamless tablet-like experience. However, there were major structural issues warranting recalls on many units, and the camera system as well as the huge selfie camera bump was also annoying, and more importantly, the front or the cover screen was also too small for functional use. So Samsung came up with the Z Fold 2 that addressed pretty much all the issues but not the hefty price tag, and with the latest Samsung Z Fold 3 coming at the base price of 2,269 Canadian dollar, which is still very expensive, but this price is moving in the right affordable direction. Fold 3 has a distinctive under-display selfie camera, so you have an uninterrupted edge-to-edge 7.6-inch display. But for the most of the population, Fold 3 is still not a recommendable smartphone, as for this price range you can get both a great quality smartphone and a premium tablet and still have some money left over. I would love to see the Fold range go down to 1500 Canadian dollar range to be more appealing to general population. But what really got affordable and recommendable is the Flip smartphone, which got kickstarted in 2019 with the Samsung Z Flip and the Moto Razr. Both have a clamshell design unfolding to the size of a normal smartphone. Samsung had a disadvantage of a very tiny and pretty much unusable cover display on the Flip 1, which Samsung did fix in the recent iteration, the Samsung Flip 3. Which is what I ended up getting and is now available for only 1129 Canadian dollar, which is the normal premium smartphone range, still slightly higher though. The Flip 3 has a cover display which is more usable, and I have done a video on how to run any app on the cover display, which you must check it out, and it's linked at the end of this video. Samsung Z Flip 3 has a good dual camera system with a contemporary smartphone spec of Snapdragon 888 5G processor, 8GB of RAM and 128GB of base storage. The hinge is also more robust and durable with IPX8 water resistance. The 6.7-inch foldable display has dynamic AMOLED with 120Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus certification and 1200 nits of brightness. And with such fashion accessories and protective case, this Samsung Flip 3 I'm sure now is on the shopping list of a lot of people. With the price range of only 1129 Canadian dollar. It's certainly affordable to get your hands on this futuristic tech. However, I still want the Samsung Z Flip 3 to upgrade to a much bigger and a functional cover display like the Moto Razr Flip, which has a better functional display with which you can do more than just checking time and taking selfies. But I would not recommend the Moto Razr, as for the same price, it makes sense to get the Z Flip 3 with the higher end specs. So I'm excited to see what Motorola and Samsung comes up with this lineup next year. With all that said, let's answer the dying question of which folding phone is the right one for you. Well, the answer is not black and white, as there are multiple options as you saw earlier. So if you're limited on budget and want something under $1,000 mark, then I would suggest to further explore the dual screen smartphone market, as there are not just one but multiple dual screen smartphone as shown earlier. If you strongly want a tablet-like experience, well then you won't get that with any other phone other than the Microsoft Duo 2, which has a massive 8.3-inch display. And if you want to save some money, you can go with the Microsoft Duo 1 if camera is not your priority. Now if you are a fashion enthusiast and want a pocketable form factor smartphone, then your best bet will be the Samsung Z Flip 3, which surprisingly is still under 1200 Canadian dollar mark. And if you want the beast of the folding smartphone and money is not an issue, then obviously you won't regret getting the Samsung Z Fold 3. If I were to pick one from all these, I am quite contented with daily driving my Galaxy Z Flip 3, as it's very pocketable. It still has the wow factor every time I unfold it in the public. The folding mechanism is quite robust with contemporary specs and the affordable price range. Let me know in the comments down below which one will you pick, and if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Please make sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing for more tech related videos. Also check out these videos as you will find them enticing.